Hi, it's Dre Griggs with Obsidian Wisdom. On this Wisdom Wednesday, we'll be discussing 3 things that successful people do. When it comes to being a success, how do you define success in your life? Do you focus on financial success, where you have financial freedom, the ability to choose when to work, where to work, and how to work, the ability to decide when you want to travel with your family, what is it that you're looking to accomplish, where you want to be able to purchase certain things without having to consider the financial impact, or just the ability to not work at all. And we call that retirement. Whatever age that is for you, we call that retirement. Or is it something to do with a legacy that you want to leave behind? What do you think of when you define success? For others, success may be spiritual, where there's a certain tenets and certain beliefs and systems that they operate under, where there's certain ways they have to treat other people and certain activities that they would measure success by. Or does it have more to do with your family, where you want to be able to allocate your time with your family, where you want to take your kids on certain trips, you want to teach them certain things, maybe you want to coach their team, whatever that aspect of success may look like. It could be about your family. It could have to do with whether you go on vacations with your spouse. It may be more simpler with just how you interact and treat your spouse on a daily basis, where you want to appreciate them more. You want to help them with certain things that maybe they feel overwhelmed with, and that's something that's important to you. It could be where you're really just saying, you know what, I don't spend enough time with my family. I just want to call them a little more frequently. Or I never go to the family reunions, but I think I'm going to start going more often. You really could define success anyway, but you will find that no matter how you define success, 3 things that always will be among successful people is number one, most of them have a routine. And you may not necessarily use the word routine, but they have at least a pattern, a system, something that they do to get a particular result. So the first thing we often need to do is we would ask ourselves, what does the day in the life of a successful person in this particular area look like? And then that may be asking someone if you already know someone. It may be reading if you have like books that you can get. It may have to be listening, where they have like audio podcasts and things that you can listen to help you understand what it is that they're doing. So you start with the knowledge where you say, what is the routine that someone lives to be able to get the results that I want? And based on that, you need to make your own list, your own routines. What does a successful day look like? Do you need to wake up early? Do you need to set time to make phone calls? Do you have to travel with your family and you set up these vacations? Like, what is it that you measure success by? And then what is it that you have to do each day? Because each day, success is ultimately going to be the mindset shift where we make small decisions that help us get towards that goal, which is why it's important to have the goals. And then from there, we're able to mirror someone who has the results that we want. Now, if you're someone who is just living and just interacting and reacting each day, if you've ever had really any job, isn't it true that every day is like a fire drill? Every day has like something that's super important, something that's super urgent that we have to get done immediately. I would say yes. I know that I would have planned the night before how I'm going to work the next day. And by the time I got into the office, sat down, I got an email that says, you know what, Dre, this day is now in the hands of, and then they will list something, and we need that done today. We need that turned around in 2 hours. We need this as quickly as you possibly can. And so I have to put everything else on the side, and then I have to work on that fire drill. And then I just would tell myself, okay, well, tomorrow will be that day. So what I ultimately needed to do is I needed to set up my days in a way that allowed me to do 2 things. One is I had to have enough time that actually was open or at least flexible for the fire drills, where if something really important actually happened, then I would work on that. The second thing I needed to do is I had to be able to define basically what is a fire drill, because everything that's important to someone else isn't necessarily important to you and what you need to get done. You'll need to define what is going to require you to immediately work on it. And then you want to be able to say, maybe that's a person where a certain level, if they give me something, then I'm going to work on that. Maybe it's a certain client where they have a certain amount of revenue that they generate for the company, where we will then say, well, that's important enough for us to be able to work with them immediately to help them. And then everything else you need to push back on and be like, you know what, like that is very important. And I will put it on my list of things to do. I should be able to get to it within the next like 3 days, right? You set the expectations. Once you take control of your daily routine, you'll find most successful people they are able to accomplish the goals that they want within their days. If you are not finding success, then it's most likely that you don't have a routines, of patterns of what a day of success looks like. Successful people know what they have to do to get the results they want because they've spent the time researching and understanding the rules that allow them to get those results. The beauty of our world is there are so many rules set in place that if you can find one person who gets the results that you want, you mirror what they do, you should get very similar results. So more times than not, that's usually the place that you start. The second thing that you want to do is you want to be able to start now linking the reasons why you want to take these actions. What is the results that you're looking for? We usually call that understanding in the wisdometric framework. Once you have the understanding, it becomes much easier for you to take action. So ultimately what ends up happening is the world, either through the actions that we take that we don't like the results of, or the actions that we intentionally take that we do like the results of, we get that feedback where it's like, okay, this is giving me the results I want, this is not giving me the results I want. But even though we start understanding exactly what we need to do, we still may procrastinate. We still may find ourselves feeling uncomfortable or uneasy about taking the necessary actions, or just flat out, you may just feel like unmotivated. But I would tell you that it's not laziness, because a lot of people end up thinking, okay, I'm just lazy because I have this list, there's the things I need to do, and I'm not doing any of it. The truth is you just don't have good enough reasons to do it. That's often why if you end up getting sick, where you may say, okay, now that I've been sick, I'm going to make sure I eat healthier, because you have a better reason. It's not that you are no longer like lazy. It's that you didn't really have a good reason. It was like a really good idea. It was something that I would enjoy, but I didn't really have any reason to be able to take those actions. So if you start listing the things that you need to do in a successful day, you would then move on to starting to say, well, why does that matter to me? Because if you don't have a reason why something matters, then you don't have any reason to take action in the first place. So instead of us living an unhealthy life until the point we find out that our actions have given us like cancer or some sort of a sickness, we could say, okay, I know ultimately what's going to happen. So I'm going to eat in a way that keeps me healthy. So it becomes very important for you to live an intentional life in a way that allows you to get the results that you want without you having to face the negative consequences. So for example, in our list earlier, if you listed something that had to do with spirituality, well, what happens if you don't live a spiritual life? What are the consequences of that? And then if you want health, what is the benefits of a healthy life? Well, you may have already understood that, but what are the consequences of a healthy life? Most successful people, when they're listing the reasons of why they want to do something, they make sure that they understand the consequence of not doing something. And studies show that we are more motivated by the consequence than we are by the benefit. And so that's why some people may find out that, okay, well, I'm sick now because of my eating habits, I'm not going to eat that ever again. Or why some people may say, okay, I just lost my best friend because of this, so I'm not going to do that again. Where we are avoiding pain more than we are searching for pleasure. I would encourage us to have a plan and a design that allows us to do both. Successful people do both. They make sure that they're not only keeping track of what it is that they want, the pleasure, but they also keep track of why it is they want it. And more times than not, avoiding the pain is why you want it. Now, for others, where you would say, you know what, Dre, avoiding pain doesn't really motivate me. And I'd say that's fine, because that also happens for some people. Then you would do what we call, which is what does that last day look like? If you've ever seen a movie where it's the climax is over and it's just kind of at the very end where it just kind of shows you the way the day ends, where this is what happened because of the adventure that the main character went on. What does that look like for you? Let's say you did everything exactly the way that you lined it out. What would that sunset look like? Would you be traveling? Well, then let's list the places that we go. Would you be spending more time with family? Well, write the names of the people that you would spend with, and then tell me maybe or write for yourself what it is that you would do with them. If you'd be more healthy, how much would you weigh? What type of abilities would you have? Would you be able to go on a jog, or would you do a Spartan race or a marathon? You would just list exactly what it is that that ultimately that life would look like. I would definitely encourage you to at least consider listing what a life would look like if you don't take the actions you want, because again, studies show that we are more motivated by the pain than we are the pleasure. But if you feel like you're someone different, then just double down on the pleasure, but really flesh it out. Go into very deep detail. And the third thing that successful people do then, and that's where we're going to end it today, is you want to be able to check in frequently. And so what that means is you have to keep track. And whether you keep track in an app or on a paper and pencil or a journal or in your phone, you want to be able to look periodically and say, this day or this week exactly as I wanted because A, B, C, D. Or this day or this week or this month, if you don't want to check in as often, I would really encourage you to at least consider trying to check in at least at the beginning of each week. But ideally, you'd want to get to a place where you check in like each day. But you could say, okay, well, this day, this week, I took these actions, these steps helped me accomplish these goals, or at least take steps on the path to accomplish these goals. When you have that immediate feedback where you see the results of your actions on a more regular basis, it helps remind you exactly what it is that you're trying to accomplish and why you're working to accomplish that. Most of us just look at our goals every New Year's Eve, or at least in December of each year. And as a result, those feelings that you have in December where you're like, man, that year is gone, I wasn't able to accomplish this. Or if you haven't looked at it, you're like, wow, I can't believe I wrote that as a goal, and that was a really good one. I can't believe I didn't take any action towards it. But if you're able to look at your goals, every day and just do a little checklist. Did I take any actions toward this goal? And then you just say yes or no. And then you're like, okay, what did I do with that day? And then you're like, okay, well, you lost time doing this and this. Do those things that I did help me move towards my goal? And you're like, no, they really didn't. Well, then what are you going to do the next day? Well, the next day, it's more likely that you will take steps that help you accomplish your goal because you have an immediate feedback loop. It's like every day. Now, if you just want to do it weekly or monthly at first, it's still going to be better than doing it annually where you just look at it once a year. Where every time you look at it and you check what you did, you're like, man, I didn't really do what I set out to do that week. It's going to help give you that same New Year's Eve feeling every single week or every single day. And if you are able to do that, you will find that your success is much more likely because success really is only a few small disciplines that you take action on every single day versus failure being a few lack of judgments, a few errors that happen every single day. And so whatever you do daily is going to get you to the result that you want. And then after that, you just need to be patient. Patient is just because I'm not going to get the visual result of the effort that I'm putting in today tomorrow. There is this proverb that says, dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow. And that's just reinforcing the idea that if you make small changes each day, it's going to change your habits and your actions and your mindset. As you change your mindset, then it's more likely that you're able to maintain the changes that you have. Versus if you just get the quick fix, or if you just find like some workaround, well, that may be good today, but you haven't actually changed your mindset or your habits in any way. So that money is ultimately going to dwindle away. The same is true with any success and any habits that you're creating. If you make the small changes every day, then you're going to build a lifestyle where you live daily exactly how you envision your life to be. And successful people do that. If you just have like a day here, or you do like a fad diet, or if you just do like one random trip or something like that because you were fed up at that time, then you're not going to be able to maintain the success that you want. And you're going to find, just like if someone had a New Year's resolution, that it's going to be like January is a great month, February not so much, and then by December you forgot what your goals and your visions and your actions were supposed to be. And so we want to make sure that that doesn't happen with you financially or in your lifestyle. If you have any additional retirement questions, I invite you to check out my free retirement planning that works video training at obsidianwisdom.com/training. In it, I give you the entire Wisdometric framework that I use with my clients to help them eradicate financial stress, generate passive income, and build a prosperous retirement strategy. Until next time, Wisdomites, remember, wisdom is asking the right questions until you get the right answers. Keep asking those questions and you will keep getting those answers. Continue blessings.